And that's how you intro into a show. Dude, I'm still sweating. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to
My pal
the
Marlon is chirping in the
Collective.
background.
Of course. Got to have some chirping going on at all times. So yeah, how's your let's talk about this first off. How's your trip been?
It's
Pretty
been
cool, right?
fantastic.
Been doing cool stuff, hanging out with cool people.
You know, I think you kind of know why I'm here, and I think you kind of know the deal, of course. But for now, it's been fantastic. It's I can't even say it has exceeded my expectations, because that simply doesn't give it enough heft. You know, it doesn't actually put across what we experienced yesterday. Marlon and I, my buddy Marlon. Hey, pal, you want to stick your head in the
into the collective?
We're dating. He's in the bed next to me.
Giggity. What's up?
Nice to meet you.
I mean, when the lights go off.
Hey, you know what?
We bunked together before.
Technically,
have we spooned each other before? Back in the day.
Hey man, so you got to stay warm, right?
Stay warm.
That's it.
Survive.
I got a picture of me and two guys from my section spooning in the desert. Like, hey man,
whatever it takes. Warm.
That is absolutely correct. Daniel says afternoon, always good. Shaun, once again, yeah, that's it, definitely 100%.
Hey Daniel, thanks.
And look at that, Winter Storm's here with us. Everybody's the gang's all here. I like it.
Perfect.
So quick note before we go any further, I just want to make sure everybody likes and subscribes, hits the notification bell, and that way you get the little email. Makes that little sound too. It goes do. You never know. Depends on what you got. The one point I have to say before we go anywhere else is I'm getting better internet today.
Good. I thought it was me, and I was like, but I'm on, actually, my buddy Marlon, who I don't want to get into it, is mega IT. He kind of squared his way up in this room with a massive feed. So, and I couldn't understand if it was me or you, but I didn't think it was me. So I'm glad to hear it was your internet end.
Yeah, I'm upgrading to the fiber, and that's happening today. I can't remember if it's between 12 and 2, like right now, or if it's between 1 and 3. So I may get a text that says, "Hey, guess what? The guy's here to switch it over," and then I'll be like, "Okay, peace out, everybody." Just as a heads up.
So
that's the that may happen, that may not. Grundle,
what's up, Grundage?
Good to have you here. So we could get
that is the 1 gig down, right?
That is the 1 gig, yeah.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I've been annoyed with TELUS for a while, and it's just super slow, and it's never.
Do you know who else has been annoyed? The entire internet
and the rest of the internet, of course.
That's right.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that? I just.
So
any thoughts? Anything off the top of your head? Anything you want to talk about? Anything that we before I can just grab a topic and we can dive into that?
Yeah. So I will conclude. I so rudely jumped into the question that you asked me before someone interjected with a subscribe and their details on their new update on their 1 gig download. I'll just. That's right. That's a good move with the coffee mug. Well done. Just a sec. Just a sec. Let's see what I've got here in the way of a coffee mug.
What do you have in the way? Yawn. Oh, yeah. That's hard to beat. That is hard to beat.
Oh, so boring.
No big deal. Whatever. Yeah, it's no big deal. Okay, so let's continue your story before I so rudely interrupted you.
Interrupted. So the trip so far has been fantastic. Yesterday was amazing. Saw so many mind-blowing things, and man, I guess I was quietly proud of my own service on the unit.
Mm-hmm.
But man, and I'm not going to get all loud and proud right now either. I will try to remain quietly proud.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more proud of what the unit has done from not on the backs of the originals, but how they've taken awesome righteous actions built off of them over a period of 30 years and created, not just today, but many years ago, created this phenomenal unit that is doing super soldier things that most people will never be able to comprehend, that even humans are capable of that. And so once again, like, I mean, straight up, buddy, as I was looking those young guys in the eyes and talking with them, and they're, you know, the Dog and Pony Show and etc. I was looking them in the eye, and I could see me, and it was that calm, fiery drive.
Yeah.
And I looked at every single one of them, and they all had it, and I was like, oh, what do I have to sign to get back in?
Can I come back? Yeah.
It was so inspiring.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. I'm excited to hear some more stories, maybe in the green room at some other point. But it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
And I won't be able to get in. I may never be able to get in, and I probably won't ever get into a lot of it. But over the next few days, I'll figure out what I can say a little bit about rather than too much about. I've now made some connections with some guys, and going to figure out some things in the future that if I can be helpful in any way. And
yeah,
I won't get into those details either for now. But generally speaking, I hope to be able to say a tiny bit, not about anything of importance other than the inspirational side of things, if you will.
Yeah, it's a very, very secret squirrely of you to just kind of hint at things and then never say anything.
That's right.
Everyone's just gonna have to deal. So
that's right. And then generally at this point, I usually say something along the lines of, how's the weather been while I was away? Change the subject, you know?
Yeah, jump into something completely different. Let me just
that's right.
Let me just get a little.
It's so bad. Just a sec.
Love it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Get it in there.
That's right.
Getting a little Perrier in the morning. I like it. Or in the afternoon.
You know why? I'm not I don't drink canned water at all. I don't like the waste. I don't like the cost. It's just wasteful to be drinking lots and lots of cans. But our hotel tap water is maybe some of the worst tap water I've ever drank in any hotel other than overseas. So it's freaking bad. Even the front desk was saying, yeah, it's bad. Yeah. Sometimes guests come in and we give them a flat, like a case.
Just
a Perrier with apologies.
Hey, case Perrier is not too bad. But there you go. Nice. It's a nice looking mug you got there. I wonder if that symbol means anything, or
I don't know.
Yeah,
we will find a way. You'll find a way.
Whatever.
You'll find a way to figure out what it means.
Daniel says, straight from the Hill Canteen. I like it.
Yeah, buddy.
Getting that brown juice into you. Winter Storm, look at this. Watching with my oldest daughter, whose birthday is today. So happy birthday to Winter Storm Minor, I guess.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Congratulations to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So any other, I don't know, tantalizing little tidbits that you're never going to tell anybody?
A little evening soiree tonight.
Ooh, soiree.
And going to have to throw on my fancy boy suit, which I try not to do ever, but apparently you've got to wear a suit to this thing.
Yeah.
But there's that. Be seeing some of the same faces that I saw yesterday and seeing some new faces that I didn't get to see yesterday. So looking forward to that, of course.
How's that been? So I've been wondering about this. You haven't seen a lot of these guys in decades.
Over two decades, right? Yeah.
So how's that been for you emotionally, psychologically, getting back into those old memories?
Yeah, it's been, I wasn't sure how it would be, buddy. How do you even know until you're in the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the rest is just guesswork until you're living it in real time and processing it in real time and doing your best in real time. And so I think that it's exceeded my expectations meeting some of the guys. Generally speaking, most conversations went like this. Buddy, I haven't seen you in ages. Buddy, I haven't seen you in ages. And as soon as those two things were done, it's like I'd been standing next to the guy just yesterday or the day before or the day before that. I mean, there's lots of catch up, what did you do? What have you done? Blah, blah, blah. Stuff. And then at the end of the day, it's guys that you did rad things with. And the commonality is the brotherhood, I suppose.
It's, and I mean, I haven't stayed away from people for that long. Not that you stayed away from people, but I haven't been away from the guys I served with that long. But just recently, I got to see a friend of mine that had been almost a decade since I had seen last. And it is that nice slide. It like there's no preface to it. There's no trying to figure out where you kind of fit. It's just and everything's back
well,
to
you
where
know
it was.
what? Here's an interesting twist for you. I just thought of it. So, I said it's a handshake. Hey, how are you? Blah blah blah, and then you're straight into as if you'd never left. But there were some guys yesterday that came up, and as I was shaking their hand, they were like, "Man, it's so good to see you. Whenever I think of you, all I can think of, I was standing in front of you. You were in all black." And you were calling out my number, and then you said ... and then that happened ... and then in several cases yesterday, I reached over and put my hand on their shoulder and said, "Bro, I apologize. Just doing my job." And it's straight to, "Oh yeah, I know, man. I know." And so you know how it goes.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's fun though when you get to re-engage with that crowd again and get to be a part of that, that group again. It's nice. I think a lot of veterans do this to ourselves a lot of the time, is where we try to shut it out and we don't see the people, especially here in Canada. I've said this before.
I did.
You did, absolutely. I know lots of people that did, and but here in Canada, I think we have a little bit different because our military is so small and our country is so big. We disperse to the wind, and then that might be the last time you see somebody. Right?
Well,
when
it was until yesterday.
Until yesterday. So that's good, man.
Yeah.
We got Winter Storm says we need a mug that says "Do Sean's best." Oh dear, I don't know if anybody could do Sean's best.
I can't even meet my own expectations.
Oh man, that'd be a rough one. Or Sean's watching Be Better T-shirt. I like that. I like that a lot. It just
I
on the
would
front.
like to have handed out some of my little walk around Parliament building today.
Oh boy, that would have been. Hey, did you make it to the museum?
I did not. So I actually mentioned you in my live chat today as I was walking. I did a little, almost an hour-long walking tour, and your name came up, and I said, Chance Burrell said yesterday you should go check out the Canadian War Museum. I said I've been there before, but you'd mentioned that it's changed since then, and Marlon and I kind of looked at the timings and thought we ain't going to be able to make it. So we ended up walking, I don't know, for about 15 minutes down the street to Shawarma Palace. Now, I know it's not a museum.
Could be, though.
But it is an establishment that should be museumed because it's so famous for its shawarma. So legit.
Kind of like Schwartz's, right?
Yeah, for sure. Or Nate's Deli here, where I had a massive smoked meat sandwich, which was mega.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm missing every time we mention Schwartz's. I'm like, oh, I want to go back. I just my mouth starts watering immediately.
I'll say that I'm good for a while now.
Well, yeah, I guess if you had a nice fresh one, perfectly.
Yeah, it was about as fresh as one could get, and I had to go to Nate's, and here's why: because back in the day we used to hit Nate's a fair bit, and one of my buddies, Dave C., who is a master sniper, we worked together over the years, and he's an awesome dude, one of my good friends, and he said Ottawa didn't even happen unless you go to Nate's while you're there, and so shout out to you, Dave.
There you go. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Anything else about your trip that coming up?
No, I don't want to bore everyone with any of that nonsense. So if you want to jump into something, let's do it, buddy.
All right, let's dive into it. So we were talking about a little story in the green room at one point, and I wanted to go over that today. I think it would be a really good one.
Okay.
And so here is the Daniel says the collective poster, Shaun and Chance, back to back, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. One of these things going on. That would be quite the poster, Daniel. I appreciate
You know what
that.
would be the bad part about that? Is like I'd be facing this way, and I'd meet the back of your spine, like the middle of your spine.
Yeah, we'd have to crop the image though. It'd just be like it would be you, and then it meet him the shoulders, and then I would have no head.
There'd be me from the nose up,
yeah,
and then you from the arse up. Now, I'll say this. Now I'm okay. I'm okay with that, and here's why. In fact, if anyone is interested, or if you haven't seen it yet, Chance, take a look at my Instagram stories that I just put up less than 12 hours ago, and you'll see me squatting down, doing one of these, and then a guy on next to me, and he's got his arm on my shoulder. And he's short. I actually called him out in my live chat today. I said he was 3'3" tall, maybe 3'4" tall. And his first name is Phil. I won't get into any of his details, but he was one of my bosses, just an awesome dude.
Okay, I see him. Yeah.
And it was just my opportunity to mock his 2 foot tall stance. And so, Phil is short. Phil can kick ass. That's all I got to say.
It's okay. You can kick ass and be short. You can kick ass and be tall. You can not do either of those things and be short and tall. So
what you can't do is be short and in a poster if you're standing next to Chance Burles.
It's a little tough, yeah. Unless you really like looking at just like my chest, which I gotta say, it's not too bad.
Listen, I've seen enough spoons in my life, so I don't need to see your chest. Maybe do some push-ups.
Yeah, I should probably do some push-ups. I need a couple. Well, let's get into this story before they come up with even more ideas like this one here. How about both of them like planes, trains, and automobiles? That'd be a good one too.
We can do this all day, man.
We really could. We could just keep going. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about this. Pretty fast when you know where you're going. And this is it's a bit of a story, so stick with me. And it's from high school. So
check.
Man, it's going to be interesting.
You're digging into the
deep. So here's the story. I was playing football back in the day when I was in high school, and I was a linebacker, believe it or not, at 175 pounds, 6'5.5". Like I shouldn't have been playing a linebacker, but that was the position I had. And I found I got really confused a lot of times when we actually start getting the play started, because I wasn't able to read it quickly enough. And by the time I needed to read it, it was usually past me and like gone.
So we can conclude from that initial statement that you will never be a jet fighter pilot.
Correct.
Roger that.
Yeah. Until one day we were playing this particular team that really liked a particular play, which was the flea flicker, which is you toss the ball to the sidelines and then that receiver catches it and then runs it up the field. But it's meant as like a fake. So you try and fake a run to one side and then throw the ball the other side, and then he runs up the field.
Okay.
And we had practiced this. We'd practiced the defense for it over and over and over and over to him because we knew we were going to play this team. And sure enough, I'm on the field and the flea flicker happens and I see it coming like a mile away. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the read. There's the fake. And I see the ball and I just start going. And guy catches the ball, starts coming up field, and I just T-boned him, full sprint. The funny part about that was it was right in front of the news camera. And they were filming it as like a look at high school football. Da, 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 da. It was supposed to be a feature on the news, and that's what they featured was this guy just getting clocked.
I'm sorry, where was this again?
This is back in Calgary.
Okay, Calgary, right? Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah. Anyway, late 90s, and so I cream this guy, get on the news, and get this new nickname, Big Hit Burles, and the coach, because I hit him into my own bench, was the coach. As I was getting up, I heard him say to one of the other coaches, that guy's pretty fast when he knows where he's going.
I like that.
And it was true, because if I needed to run, if I knew where I was going, I could go there and I could do that quickly. And the reason I want to tell the story and want to talk about this a little bit is that it's always easier to go places when you know where you're going.
Generally.
Right. And so I wanted to liken that to, life in general. If you want something, if you want to be not so much just like better sometimes, but if you want something big, you want to do a 24-hour solo mountain bike race, or you want to do your first marathon, or you want to do, I don't know, you want to be an astronaut. Cool. The idea of target locking onto something and just like 100% full tilt, this is going one way or the other. It's either going to be a massive win or I am going to land on my face with full force. I think that's it's challenging for some people because you have to really commit to it. And with that hit, why it worked so well is because I was off my feet. Like I committed to that hit. It was flying through the air when I hit him. But I don't know how many people can do that. You got any tips or thoughts on, giving her?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to consider there. And the first one I would like to say is it's a great strategy to target lock on a future objective and prioritize to such a degree that it is your number one priority. And you start driving towards that on day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever the case is, knowing in your head that that's where you want to go. So just like you, as an example, watching a play and really, I don't know, maybe I want to go in that direction because I think that's where the play is going. And then once you realize the play is in play and you establish the pattern and think, now I can commit to the direction. Now you're in a linear path on an intercept course, predicting where that individual is going to get hit. But what can happen is in a singular trajectory, you target lock so hard that you miss the little feed off to the guy next to him. And because you were so blinded on your trajectory, you don't see the nuance that exists within the bigger game all around you, to use the football analogy.
Absolutely.
And so I would say that, there's benefits to target locking in a singular fashion with blinders on. If you have the latitude to be able to do that and learn in the moment and not have significant consequences because you weren't paying attention to the periphery, if you will. And so, of course, to make a broad comparison, or it's not a very good comparison, but if you take that and then compare it to war as an example, you cannot be so blinded by the linear trajectory that you miss the periphery, the nuance that will be a flank or an ambush or what have you. And so whatever your objective is, if it has consequential peripheral events that may bleed in, then you have to consider those as part of your overall strategy of target lock, but take the blinders off. So then to draw back to the football game, you saw the play, you predicted the path, you algorithmed your trajectory course, and then blinded your way towards the target. And I'm not saying you did. I'm saying you might have. But as you're target locking on that intercept course, what's happening on your left and right flank? Now 2 guys who weigh 250 pounds have a pincer action at you, and then they don't call you Big Hit Burls. They call you Sandwich Boy Burls. And then they stretcher you off the field.
Yep.
And so, just to set the stage, I would say that it depends on where you are in your life trajectory. It depends on your experiential trajectory. It depends on what outcomes you want, the prioritization of those outcomes, how much you have to singularly minded move towards that objective. There's many things that are in play there. And I we could parallel them to football, to BJJ, to combat, to whatever, and they would all be the same.
Yeah.
And so I would say that you can get pretty fast if you know where you're going, but there is an optimal pace for each event, each trajectory, each challenge, each puzzle that you have to ascertain based on your own personal experience of optimizing the outcome. And that takes time. That takes mistakes.
Absolutely.
That takes a few hits on the football field, you know?
Yeah. And I got creamed a couple of times, being target locked on something. And
Dude,
then
how could you not?
then have a blocker
8
come up
foot
and just
tall and
bang!
130 pounds?
Oh,
You know you're gonna-
175. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry about that.
I was I think I probably should have tried out for receiver, but I never actually went for it. I just
Dude, you know what? At 9 feet tall and 120 pounds, you should have tried out for the goalposts.
I should have. I definitely should. I could just stand there like this. You're like, hey, yeah, just stick it in there. Yeah, that'd be oh, there we go. Daniel Bond said, no, that's a t-shirt. Chance, sandwich boy burlesque. Satch has joined us. Good morning and afternoon, ladies and gents. Morning, Satch. I like that point though, because the if you're going to target lock on something, it comes with sacrifice, right? And what you're doing is you're sacrificing your vision on the outside. You're sacrificing.
No, you can be. You can be. You don't have to.
If you go full bore, if you're going 100% in one direction, then you're going to be sacrificing your lateral movement to a degree.
No, you're not.
Okay, so do you think you could sprint at full speed forward and then make a 90-degree left turn
in a split second
without slowing down?
In a split second with the right footwear.
Okay, with the right footwear. Okay,
do you disagree?
That. I've never seen anybody make a full 90-degree turn at a full sprint.
Are you serious?
No.
I've seen plant with the right foot and bam, full 90.
That's you're slowing down to do that. Even with the hard
as
left
you
turn.
Plant.
That slows you down.
Planting is slowing you down.
Yeah.
But that isn't slowing your 90-degree trajectory because you're initiating, and as soon as you make that 90, now you're on the same maximum effort trajectory.
Yeah,
it's just a moment in time.
I've done those lateral movements in basketball and in soccer and all of the sports I've played. Anytime you have to make a lateral movement, you're going to lose forward momentum because you're making a lateral movement. So you're going to have to lose some in order to turn, even if it's a little bit.
We're talking pure physics.
I mean, even in life, there's going to be, and the reason I say in life is that
there can be, depending on who you are.
Well, there has to be kind of a delay to, not so much delay. Delay is not a good word for it.
Good. I'm glad that we're not going to use that one.
But there is a cost. Let's put it that way. And you're going to give up a little bit of forward momentum in order to make a lateral movement because you have to use some energy to make that turn.
But that's just cost. That isn't slowing you down, I would say. That's just resources. Whether you're willing to pay the resource, the burn rate, the workload, the kinetic energy dump in order to execute a hard 90. Yeah, there's cost. But that's balanced against risk reward ratios, cost benefit ratios, blah, 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 whatever, mission priorities, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't matter whether we're talking business or army or whatever, BJJ, football, macrame, doesn't matter what you're talking about. There's cost to everything.
Yeah.
But that's got to be measured against the prioritization of the outcome that you are anticipating or want or need or mission priority or what have you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's cost to this, what we're doing right now, this 100%. Conversation.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, and I guess this is what I mean in terms, I guess you're not really losing velocity so much as you are using additional resources to make that turn, to make that lateral movement. So that's a good clarification.
Correct. And listen, if I decide that I'm going to do a hard 90 and that's going to cost me an extra 10% energy bleed rate, but I need to make a hard 90, guess what? I'm doing a hard 90 because it's a case of have to or want to. If I have to, It's going to get done. I'll accept the cost, and then I'll figure out how to meter up. I'll figure out how to gain that back. I'll figure how to balance that off so that I can keep going on that new trajectory in an optimal, efficient manner, in a way that I might not know as I'm planting my right foot and going hard 90, but I'll figure it out as I'm on my new trajectory.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And this is, again, that's why I want to talk about it, because there's lots of nuance in terms of, you hear all the time, oh, just find a goal and go after it. Well, if you do that, then you got to understand that there's going to be cost, and there's going to be sacrifice, and there's points of, even if you half speed it, right, there's going to be cost there, because now there's time involved in that. If you're gonna go all out, then it's gonna take time away from other things. If I really wanted to excuse me, we had this chat with Alan Chabero. There was that when you want to become an elite athlete, you want to be that top tier level guy. That's going to cost you. You're going to have all your time is going to be spent in the gym, training, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're not going to have a lot of time for other things like partying, for example, or hanging out with friends, or sometimes family. Sometimes it comes at a cost. So
yeah, and I'm not going to say I was ever an elite athlete, but I was on paper. I'm not claiming that I'm elite or an athlete or whatever. I'm not combining those two words and putting a Velcro label on me. But I will say that, well, as a world champion, I guess I reached a level that was sort of elite. And, what did that cost me? That cost me about 80 hours a month on the saddle. That's 80 hours that you'll never get back. That's 80 hours that I could have done a lot of other things with. Start another business, spend more time with my family, stare into more sunsets and sunrises, whatever. Everything is a balancing act with time. That's all we've got. That's one of our biggest resources, time and health. And you've got to always be cognizant of the two, and you have to balance your life so that you're achieving the maximum that you can in life, whatever that means to you, and to everyone that means different things, because the clock is ticking and it's our job to do something with it. And not to put too fine a point on that, but I will say this just to add some heft to the sentence. I was, when we were all getting together there yesterday, hearing stories, seeing photos, et cetera, there was some moments there where we all looked at each other and just nodded, and everyone was a little sad about, how life can change rapidly in a split second. And now that good dude is gone. And he didn't know that. None of us knew that in the moment, but the clock is still ticking. And it's our job to do what we can with the time that we've got on the planet. And I don't think it's considered every breath you take, man, you should be doing something with it,
Ideally, absolutely.
No,
and
you should be. Now it's up to you to figure out if that's ideally or not. The sentence stands.
Okay.
It will stand for time immemorial, no pun intended. All we've got is time on the planet.
Yeah.
That what you do with your time is up to you. But if you want to use it wisely, you'll optimize your time. Now, what does that even mean? Well, sometimes if you're optimizing, it might just be sitting still, breathing slowly, zenning out, and being chill. That's optimal at some times. And then other times, it's ripping down a rope off a helicopter. And then other times, it's looking at your kids. And other times, it's staring at the sun. And other times, it's whatever. But whatever you're doing, be present with it. Each breath, you should be realizing that that's another breath you'll never get back.
That's very true. And the The reason I say ideally is that there are many people out there that they don't even recognize that they have a finite time on this planet. They like I remember
8 out of
being
10 people. What do you think
yeah.
the ratio is?
I would say I'm thinking 70-30. That's where I'm sitting.
Okay.
And I
I'm
think
only saying 8 out of 10 because I've just walked through Ottawa and just saw a whole pile of people who don't understand this sentence.
well, that the trick is that you're in Ottawa, right? Ottawa is its own
It's got its own vibe, baby.
universe, and like
It's its own
Toronto,
thing.
same thing.
Same.
Vancouver,
Yeah,
all these things. They have their own little universe, and there's a lot of times that we can get stuck in our universe because we don't really know
100%.
where we're going. And I think that's the key, is that you got to know where you're going. And if that requires you to sit down and be quiet and sit and stare at a sunset for a few whatever seconds, minutes, hours, days to figure out where you're going, then that is the optimal path. And that way you can be pretty fast when you know where you're going.
I will add this, not to put in too much pressure on anyone out there who hasn't thought about any of these things. There's another aspect to it as well. It would be great if instead of 8 out of 10, not understanding that the breath that they just breathed is now gone, and that's one less. If we could move that number to 7 out of 10 people, that extra 10% of improvement of being present and realizing that the clock is ticking, that wouldn't only benefit that person, 10% improvement on humanity.
Oh my goodness.
Walking around down here, if an extra 10 points of improvement as a society, that would be an unbelievable shift. Just one person in 10
Yep.
paying attention to their breath and their watch.
I was just thinking how unbelievable life would be if we could get something like a 50-50 or even
dude,
like, man,
don't dream that hard.
I will
Don't
dream.
get all dreamy.
I am going for it. I'm going all out. But man, just, and to all you people out there watching, like, think about that. What if every second person really understood what it was that, what we actually have, time and breath, really understood that? That'd be a freaking amazing, outstanding world, because people, I think, would be just be giving her. There'd be people everywhere giving her.
They'd be giving her, and they'd be recognizing what's going on around them at all times. And I think they're two different things: velocity and awareness. They can be mutually exclusive. You only understand one, or you only understand the other. Geez, you might not understand either. But if you only understand one, at least you're off to the races.
Yeah.
But if they don't have to be mutually exclusive, they can be co-joined, heading in the direction with a priority and intention for an outcome. And you're going to get a far better outcome if you can not only induce velocity, but be aware on a 3-dimensional bubble all around you as you're doing it.
That'd be pretty amazing. That would be pretty amazing. And we will dream for those days for as long as we possibly can. Julie's joining us. Oh, good afternoon, Julie. She put in Gee's afternoon, which that's not a bad afternoon. A Gee's afternoon is pretty
terrible.
Good. And then Satch at points in, forward progression seems to be always possible, even with a change of direction.
Oh yeah, buddy.
100%. Yeah.
You know what? And I. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
You're in your comment mode. No. Please do the shiny comments.
I'm taking a 90-degree right here. What do you got?
Yes, you are.
What do you got?
So I would say that forward progression is always possible, even with the change of direction. But you introduced the idea of 90-degree turn. Mm-hmm. Which makes for an easily understood example. But how about this? A 180-degree turn. So you're going that way at warp factor 3, plant that right foot, bounce backwards, and now you're heading in that direction at warp factor 3.
Yep.
That is forward progression, even though you're going backwards. It depends on how you're using it. It depends on what you're revisiting. If there's something that's bothering you in your past, and your forward progression is at warp factor 3, and you're ignoring that thing that's behind you or that thing that's inside of you, you're running so far forward to get away from what's inside of you. Your forward progression is being slowed down because you didn't plant a foot, start heading back that way, and addressing the things that you've left behind unaddressed.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually, there's a great sports analogy in this all the time, is that especially in basketball, this happens in soccer a lot too, right? Where if you're running for a pass and it gets picked off and you got to be able to stop and get back into a position to defend again, it takes the intention of not chasing the ball but getting back to a defensive position.
That's right. Got to see the grand scheme, got to see the strategy, got to see the plays within the plays. When you were talking about you can't plant and go hard 90 and not lose velocity, I just see that as a split-second moment in time where you are static because you've deployed resources to work against physics, and then go hard left or go hard right. I mean, I played soccer from a young age,
a little while,
up until I joined the Army, right? And then when I wasn't playing soccer, one of my other favorite sports was indoor badminton. And I don't know why, but in my mind, I always hear the e, 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 the little plant your foot.
Oh yeah.
And so that noise to me represents a hard left or a hard right. And sometimes it represents a hard plant backwards to crack that bird.
Yeah.
I was fast, I was agile, I was nimble, I was pretty good at kinetic sports. And so, I'm not going to say I was transporter beaming my way around that field because I was an amateur, of course. But dude, I was moving fast, and I was not agreeing with how physics should work. I was playing my game the way I wanted to play. And so I demanded a lot of my body, and my expectations were maybe too much for my shell, for my frame, but I made it work, man. And that's why it's not that I was pushing back really hard, but I know me. That's all I know. I can see others and think that, I see them doing it too, but I know I've done it. It is possible. It's just a tiny little resource bleed as I see it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So I hate to do this to you, everybody, but I just got the phone call, and I'm going to have to shut this thing down, the phone call. So I got to...
You made it 42 minutes. That's cool.
That's pretty good, man. There's some great comments here that I'm going to save.
Yes, you
because I think they need to be brought up. Winterstorm and has got a couple good questions and comments in here. I'm going to save, and we're going to go over them probably tomorrow once I have some lightning speed internet.
Right. And so I land back in BC in the Kootenays at noon tomorrow.
Okay.
Pacific. Okay. And I'm wheels up from Ottawa at 0700 hours tomorrow morning. Okay. So we'll have to do our meeting maybe around 1330 hours on Sunday. Is that okay?
Sure.
PST,
yeah, that works.
1330?
Yep. 1330 for tomorrow. I like it very much.
And if there's any adjustments, because it's Air Canada, I might not get there for a week. I'll let you know.
Roger that. I appreciate it. And thanks for keeping doing this. Even I understand the difficulties of trying to manage this and deal with tap water in Ottawa. But I know I just wanted for everybody as well as myself. I appreciate you putting the effort in, even though you're traveling and even though you're doing some crazy cool secret
I wouldn't miss stuff. It for the world. I really wouldn't.
I really appreciate it. So as we all, I guess, learn and build and grow together here on the collective, we will see you all tomorrow. Chimo.